And what is up, everybody? Another interesting development I got going on out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is hot. It is hot, so friggin' hot out here. I don't want to go outside. And then I'm getting ready to move to a new place soon, and I don't even want to use the bathroom after all the cleaning that I had to do to turn this over to the landlord. However, gonna be one of my philosophical rants. Uh, this girl that I met, it was a couple years ago at Undiscovered Realm ComicCon, and ran into her again this Undiscovered Realm ComicCon. It was a few weeks ago, and it was a great time meeting Johnny Young Bosch for the second time, inducting 3 females into the Action Fuzz Hall of Fame. The second Pink Ranger, the voice of Naruto, and the original voice for Bulma, Tiffany Vollmer, and posting this stuff on Instagram, and my Action Fuzz Instagram page got a bunch of followers and a bunch of likes. So that was a very productive weekend. Even if I didn't make more money for the table back, it was still a very productive weekend. But I digress. Ultimately, what winds up happening is me and this girl start talking. Great conversations, and we developed a real friendship. And she asked me, what is it that I'm looking for more or less in a woman? And I said, a woman who's not trying to prove a point. And she's like, I had to explain the reason why, because she's like, well, you're gonna find me infuriating because I'm always trying to prove a point. And got into, dug a little deeper into it. Turns out, kind of like myself, because she's an artist, and she's doing, pop art, geek art, and like going to these conventions and selling her artwork, and whether or not she basically breaks even. It's like you're lucky. Like for most of the people in Artist Alley that make their own crafts, and even the people who publish their own comics, you're lucky if you break even at these small conventions. And forget about the major ones. It's like the likelihood of you breaking even on there is very slim to none, especially like in New York Comic Con, where to get into Artist Alley is damn near impossible. The only guarantee is to pay $1,400 to put you in the deepest, darkest corner of the main showroom floor at the Javits Center. So it's it is a challenge. It absolutely is a challenge. But between that and being a cosplayer, which has become very popular, there's women who basically that's what they're famous for. Dressing up as comic book and anime and video game characters, and just getting up and basically it's like Halloween for them, like all year round, because they keep going to these conventions, they compete in these cosplay costumes, sometimes they judge in these cosplay costumes, and she's a cosplayer as well. Between that and her artwork that she does, and it's very interesting. She tells me that apparently between her ex-husband, probably an ex-boyfriend, on top of that, her own family, basically not believing in her, putting her down, this, that, the other, and she's trying to prove a point that she can do something with this, obviously. and she's a school teacher. She teaches art. She has a master's degree. She teaches art. Good for her. It's not so much that she's trying to prove a point as much as validation. And here's the difference. I have 3 different examples of women trying to prove a point. While I was in the Marine Corps, when I was in Iraq, I had two girls in my platoon, damn near useless. But they kind of knew that, and they weren't trying to be hard charges or anything like that, and they weren't trying to, throw their weight around or try to get over. At least one of them wasn't trying to get over. But the other one, didn't necessarily matter. But when I get back to my squadron, within my shop, there's this new girl. Everybody hated her. Why? She had an absolutely horrible attitude. Horrible. There were other females in the squadron. One in particular, that I remember. As far as everybody else was concerned, she was one of the guys. She was an electrician, she was an airframer. But being an airframer doesn't require as much heavy lifting as being an ordnance technician. And that's who the girl in my shop was, an ordnance technician. She was weak, but played like she was strong. Swore she was better than everybody else. Swore that she was the most knowledgeable, that she was the only one capable. Yet all she kept doing was being on the injured list. She, irritated everybody because she was going to prove that, she's just as good, if not better, that she's better than everybody. And she wasn't. She got pregnant, and she aborted the baby because it was, holding her back from a job that she was incapable of doing anyway. And she knew who the father was. She was dating him at the time, but that was her excuse. And then she had the nerve to try to say, like, "Oh yeah, I was raped." Dumb stuff like that. But oh yeah, there's no such thing as because she's just as good as everybody because there's no such thing as a female Marine. Yet whenever we call her on her shortcomings, her excuse was that she was a girl. But she's going to prove a point. I get out of the Marine Corps. I start running with this marketing firm, a network marketing firm called Your.net. At the time, they were selling broadband phone service. Now I don't know what the hell they're selling, because then they moved to health products and into health supplements, and it's like that makes absolutely no sense. And my director, this girl was maybe a couple months younger than me, a month younger than me, something like that. All I knew is that we were born the same year. That's it. She was Asian. She was cute. She was 5'11". So she's out to prove that she's just as big and bad as everybody else around her. She had a serious Napoleon complex. And yeah, she was a ball of energy, this, that, the other. But the way she went about doing certain things to prove that her company, that her downlines, this, that, the other, were the best. She was cute, no ifs, ands, or buts. And she was Asian. And a majority of the people that she recruited under her were cute Asian females. And teaching all of them to basically be sluts, because she was a slut. And because she was a slut, she was trying to tell these girls that use this to get ahead of business because of men. this, that, the other, to prove a point that you're just as good as the men. Her company within this network marketing firm started declining. She was the number 3 director, and then because they would always announce the top 5, when I first got with her, she was number 3. When by the time I was like, okay, I'm not making any money and I got bills to pay, she was knocked out of the top 5. Of course, she blamed her company, saying that if we didn't pick up her, if we didn't pick up business for her, that she was going to go to somewhere else where her business was fine and where that was actually stronger. That's not leadership. It's like if you're going somewhere that already that's already doing the best for you. It's like you're only as strong. Your chain is only as strong as your weakest link. Your sled is only as fast as its slowest dog. So unless you pick up the slow, unless you just cut us off completely, unless you fix us, like whatever the problem was, but she was going to prove a point that she doesn't matter how tall she is, which she wasn't, because she was gonna basically take over everything, and she hasn't. It's been a while, and she hasn't. Then after I start working, because that wasn't making any money for me, I started bouncing at this bar. The first bartender that I met was this French girl. She came straight from France to the United States and was, basically there's no French communities. There's no little Paris in New York. There's little Italy. There's there's Chinatown. There's Puerto Rican, and there's Hispanic neighborhoods and black neighborhoods, Jamaican neighborhoods. No French communities. So she was completely immersed in English. After a couple of years, spoke English perfectly. She was a horrible human being. Absolutely disgusting. The extent of her vocabulary was F you and because that's what she would do to guys. And she wasn't even very pretty, and her body didn't even have any attractive features. And a bunch of old drunk guys would try hitting on her, this, that, the other, and she treated them horribly. Mind you, she's a bartender, and I was the bouncer. And some guys would come to me and tell me, I stopped going to the bar because of her, this, that, the other, because she's horrible. I would tell them, you need to come on the days that she's not here. There's 7 days in a week, and 4 of those days she's not here. So come on those days instead. And what started happening was guys started showing up, on the other days. She did business, she blamed me. And the reason why, and she would play that Pink song, It's Just You and Your Hand Tonight. She's going to prove that, she doesn't need a man. And truth be told, that's probably exactly what she needed, a man, because, too busy just chasing, just trying to chase dudes off to prove she doesn't need them. She wasn't getting any. That's the difference between self-improvement and trying to prove a point. When you're busy trying to prove a point, you're just going to do a lot of damage to everybody around you. Because you're too busy trying to prove a point, you don't care about the outcome of what's going on around you, because you're too busy trying to prove that point. Versus someone like me. Now, by no stretch of the imagination am I saying that I'm the go-to when it comes to stuff like this. But my family never been the most supportive, this, that, the other. Even with the things that I have accomplished, they're not very, they don't really recognize me for that kind of thing. I've been in 16 different TV shows as a background actor. I posted up the time that I was Tony on Blue Bloods, which was something almost completely accidental, but it was such a cool experience. And all the other shows that I had done, man, I was like, you're only on Netflix shows. When are you going to be on a real show? Oh, but you're only background. When are you going to, do this, that, and the other? When I've competed Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I had 2 bronze medals. Oh, but you never won. This, that, the other. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be dogging you, and even as yes, you're looking for validation. You're going to be looking for validation from other people. It's not about self-validation. But again, it's about self-improvement. My channel, Action Fuzz, I make action figures out of pipe cleaners, and every show that I do, every time they're on display, people are just completely enamored. And all the celebrities that I give, these gifts for, because they've inspired me, so this is me giving back to them. They truly, appreciate it. They absolutely love it. Do these figures come out, great every single time? No, not really. But I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. And even like my aunt, who was an art teacher, she's retired now. She heard about what I was capable of, because she lived in Brooklyn and I lived in Yonkers. She would never come out to me because she hated my father. This is his sister, and she hated him. She comes out to, she'd basically send me wire ties and pipe cleaners via my aunt Helen. I got in touch with her when I was in Iraq, and she sent me pipe cleaners, which I appreciated. And I made up a few figures, and I gave them to her. She's an antique doll collector. Her house in the Poconos is set up like a museum with these beautiful antique dolls from all over the world. And she treats my artwork just like those antique dolls. And she's an artist. My artwork has greatly improved since that time. It's not about getting validation for what I do. It's about is the next figure that I make, is it better than the last one that I made? Every time I stepped in front of the camera, it's like, did I do a better performance this time than I did last time? And all the different roles that I played, all the different times that I could find myself, on the camera, it's like, did I do exactly what I was supposed to do? Am I doing a better job this time than I did the last time? That's what's going to ultimately get you to where you need to be. Because trying to prove a point to people that will never validate you, I know I'm overweight. I've been overweight for a while. I weigh 207. I'm 5'11". I weigh 200 and last time they checked me, 290 pounds. And I used to be at 270 for years. It's like I had plateaued. And everybody's like, "Oh, you're as fat as you've ever been. Get on the scale." It's like, "Yeah, I'm still 270." And some people would be like, "Oh, did you lose weight?" Get on the scale. I'm still 270. Meanwhile, when I weighed 190 pounds, 190 pounds. Get into the Marine Corps, the max that you're allowed to weigh is 197. I weighed 191 pounds when I got into the Marine Corps. My family was complaining about how fat I was at 190 pounds. So when people are like, "Oh yeah, you need to lose weight," how much exactly? Certain people you're never going to get validation from. So don't bother trying to prove anything to them. As long as you see improvement in everything that you try to do, and everything that you try to do, try to be better than you were last time. Try to do better than you did last time. Somebody's going to validate you. Someone's going to appreciate what you do. Someone's going to like what you do. Someone's going to pay you to continue doing what you're doing, as long as you continue improving at it. Self-improvement, not proving a point. I'm done talking. You guys have a good night.